Hello and welcome to our Sales Execution Forum, A Picture is Worth 1,000 Bottles. I'm Lauren Sims, based in the greater Los Angeles area, and just to give you all some background, I've been on the GreatVines team now for about a year as their business development manager after coming on board from one of GreatVines' longtime customers, Old Smoky Distillery, and can personally speak to the headaches of storing and managing thousands of sales execution photos during my years as a sales support manager with Old Smoky, which I'm sure will come up a lot in today's discussion. And I am joined by Jim Thompson, GreatVines co-founder and product evangelist located in Portland, Oregon.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Lauren.
Hello. Okay, so before we get started, just in case this is your first webinar rodeo, just a little housekeeping. This session is being recorded and will be posted on our website as well as shared on our social media channels. Everyone is on mute, just in case your dog starts barking at the mailman or your coworker pops into your office to ask you a question, you're okay. But we encourage you to participate and ask questions through the webinar control panel on the GoToMeeting control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. We're going to do our best to answer your questions throughout the presentation, but if we don't get to it, we will follow up with you directly afterwards. And we know your time is valuable, and we're aiming to keep this presentation under an hour and hopefully around 40 minutes.
Perfect.
Today's presentation will actually be focusing on how mobile photo capture can play a key role in your sales strategy. We'll also be sharing best practices relating to mobile photo capture within GreatVines sales management platform. And
yeah,
one
of my favorite topics. I love photos.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to kick off today's discussion, let's talk about some of the real life struggles behind execution photos within this industry. So in my previous role, I remember looking forward to getting weekly wins from the sales team at the end of every week, excited to share with our chief staff what the team has done in the field this week, and I would get so excited when I get actual photos to support what they did, but sometimes, unfortunately, the photos weren't all that great. So as you can see in these
not
photos,
always what
sometimes
you think they're going to be, right?
Exactly, and sometimes they're not actually supporting what was actually captured in the field, and it's super frustrating to get a photo like this and it's saying that we got a great menu feature at the new hot spot on the east side, and I can't see our brand. Are we on the back bar? Are we on tap? I'm not quite sure. Where's the menu feature? What's our price point? This photo does nothing for me. Great.
And it really becomes part of your broader strategy, right? If you're executing customer management or CRM the right way, you should be identifying the right accounts in advance. But photos are an important part about validating. We'll talk about that today. Is validating, are these truly the right accounts? Just because it's in the right part of town doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right place for your brands.
Exactly. And photos don't lie. They can either be your best friend or your worst enemy, when you're a rep and you're trying to validate what you did in the field. And so we're going to focus today how impactful field execution photos can be on your sales strategy and share some best practices on how to effectively capture, use, store, and share photos within your organization.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump right in. We've got kind of three major categories of where we see photos as being a key sales driver for your team and for your sales strategy. We'll really start out talking about the internal capabilities of photos. And I mentioned this a minute ago, but using photos to validate account attributes, right? So you can see here a little screenshot of some account characteristics that we've defined in GreatVines. Not only is this a key account, but we've categorized this as an upscale bar under the nightclub sort of subcategory, if you will. And so how do we validate that, it's going to have the right sort of foot traffic, that they're going to have the right positioning for our products? There are a million ways that this account could align with your brand strategy and your brand message. But photos are also key, not just matching into segmentation, which might drive your sales strategy, it might drive your investment. So, if we have money that we've dedicated to key accounts in certain categories or in certain segments, we want to make sure that we're justifying the use of these trade funds. So not only after the fact, right, when we're uploading a photo of the event, but prior to. So it's a great way to validate promotional events, agency events, or things you may be conducting a winemaker dinner. Is it going to be the type of restaurant that's going to work with your brands? And lastly, are we able to capture how our POS materials are being utilized, right?
Yes,
Do we have a
that's
photo
huge.
of that neon sign? That is huge. As we know, POS budgets can be enormous. We know a lot of items end up on eBay, and so
Yes.
we absolutely want to make sure that the POS is being utilized. The next category is transparency, right? We want to make sure that we are creating transparency not only for our sales leadership and sales management, but that we can create transparency to our partners. What are we doing to activate the brands in the field? And again, the picture really tells the story. So to say that we did a promotional event and interacted with 200 consumers, the best way to sell that story is going to be putting together a brag book or putting together some sort of photo sharing gallery. And we'll show you some examples of how you can do that quickly and easily today. But again, we have a screenshot here of one of the events planned and executed through GreatVines. It's part of our trade program management. And so this is an on-premise managed bar night. We can see that we're featuring a certain brand, a certain drink. We're doing consumer sampling. And so again, back to my prior point, justifying the spend of trade funds, we want to document photos of consumers interacting with our products. We want to document any special signage or menu inserts. And of course, this also applies to sharing successful display programs. And so
Yes.
we will show you an example of that live in the system today. So we know that displays are one of those many leading indicators that we talk about, right? That we know are going to drive success of the brand. They're going to drive sustainable volume.
Yes, and it's the worst when you have an epic photo of a display and it's just sitting on your Google Drive or your Dropbox and no one's seeing it, it's not being shared, it's not being utilized, it's just the worst. So
Right.
With our tools, everybody will have complete transparency and access to these photos.
Absolutely. Then there's also the sort of the internal facing among your sales team. So separate from your strategy, your business, and your bottom line is, how are we making the sales team's jobs easier? Right off the bat, you might think, oh, well, I don't want to task my team with having to capture all these photos. It's a waste of time. But the truth is, as reps start to report their wins, this is a great way to drive healthy competition, is to say, well, look at how this person has set up their account, or how this display is featured at the entrance of the store, or look how they've gone the extra mile to put decorations on the bar to support this seasonal cocktail that we're doing, or the way that we've incorporated a theme into our wine tasting dinner. So these are things that can really drive best practices even subconsciously among your sales team, and really think of it as a way to achieve higher brand standards, right? You invest so much time, money, and energy into defining these brand standards that you want to make sure they're being translated all the way to the consumer touch point.
Right, and let's be honest, now every rep has got a smartphone with a really crazy good camera on it, that can take these great photos that are Instagram and social media worthy, that just takes an extra second to stage the photo, focus it, and share it with your team.
Yep, absolutely. And speaking of photos, now let's talk about the brand and the impact on your brand. And I think this is a good question that we had asked of us recently. Is how do you use this tool to make sure your brand is sort of Instagram ready, right? And first, that starts outside of GreatVines, clearly, right? It's packaging, it's messaging, but social media has become so critical, not just with the millennials, but it's impacting people's choice of restaurants and bars and drinks that they buy in the off trade, and really can drive a tremendous amount of outreach, organic outreach particularly. And so first of all, the brand has to be what we call Instagram ready. But I think the second piece of this is really getting your team oriented to thinking about the photos they capture as being critical to the success of the message and the business. And to that end, we think it's really critical that they think about every photo they capture as being shared with the public, right? So if part of your orientation to the team is that every photo that you're capturing, whether it's part of a survey, whether it's just a generalized account photo, really think about that image going on your brand's Instagram feed or Twitter feed, and really invest maybe the time in doing some online trainings for how to capture great photos, with their smartphones. I think we've all seen, horrible photos of menus. You can't even read the menu. I think that today's devices, when used properly, can accurately capture branding and messaging and text, can, get well-lit shots. So there's a lot of great tricks out there that you can look up online, and ways that you can invest in your team in doing a little 30-minute internal success webinar on how we can capture photos that are part of marketing and really feed the marketing engine.
Right. And this goes back to transparency as well and being timely, because, if you have 4th of July coming up around the corner or Memorial Day, you want to be able to show a display picture that's themed with the holiday right before the holiday to help boost sales in that account or whatnot. So it's all about being timely, being transparent, and then sharing everything collaboratively within your team on an easy-to-use tool.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes without saying that, as part of the process, you're also helping your accounts, right? So think of it as, you're capturing these photos, putting them on your brand social media channels, but you're also promoting, you can use them to promote certain accounts. And so, you're just enriching that relationship, which is what CRM is all about, right? Building that relationship, strengthening it, showing that you're invested in their account and you know what their brand priorities are. So again, that you're continually aligning these photos with the priorities for your brand, and you're giving back to your customer community.
Exactly.
So in
And
summary,
ultimately boosting sales.
yep,
That's what the
that's
name of
right.
the game is here.
Boosting retail sales and depletions and shipments. That's right.
Yes.
That's why we're all here. So in summary, there's a number of reasons that you want to capture great photos, right? And they're not just internal, they're internal and external. So we want to use it as a way to validate that we have the right key accounts, or that they fit the right segment that we've defined, or that the different characteristics, whether it be size, the lighting, whatever it is that you use to identify what the right accounts are, you want to utilize photos to do that. Of course, sharing successful displays and brand activations and programs, making your photos available for social media. You'll see here, we'll talk about photo galleries, but being able to then pull all these photos out by brand, type, segment, location. And so we'll give you some live examples of that in our system. But of course, publishing brand books in PDF, creating photo galleries, building transparency for your partners and your management, doing recaps, and justifying your trade spend. So those are some of the key takeaways that we believe are a reason for investing the extra time and energy and making photos part of your key strategy.
Well, Jim, that sounds fantastic, but can you give us some examples of where we can capture photos in GreatVines? Let's see this in action.
You would think that was scripted. Absolutely, Lauren, I can do that for you. So here we are in the GreatVines mobile application, which I believe everyone on this call is familiar with. And we're looking at our objectives and our tasks. We're catching up on our scorecard, seeing what the key operations are and the focus for this week and which accounts we're going to call on. But we're going to jump right into an account that we call the Hideout Lounge. If you've been on a demo with us, Lauren and I, you know that we use this account pretty extensively. And here are those same parameters that we saw in the slide earlier, right? This is our nightclub that is in the on-trade, DBA Joe's Bar, so we might see that on a distributor report. It's a casual dining lounge. So, the first thing we're going to think about as we walk into this account is sort of validating, do we have the right photos of this account? So one of the things we might want to do right off the bat is add to the general photo gallery. So here in the map, here in the application, we've got just general photos. So these aren't tied to any one specific activity. They're a way of just capturing broad photos of our customers and our brands. And so right off the bat, when we click photo, obviously I'm not standing outside of a bar, so I will choose from my photo roll, and we can snap a picture before we even go into the account, right? So this isn't brand specific, but we can say, well, this is a general photo. We'll just leave it at general for now. We can say that this is the exterior of the account. We can say, remodel, new entrance. So we can put in any comments that we want, because of course we can later search by keyword, right? Click save. Now, as long as I'm online, that photo is going to go directly into the gallery on the back end. So if your brand manager happens to be doing a search for exterior photos, they're going to see that in real time, right?
That's huge.
So that's just one of the ways. Yeah, that's huge. And if you're offline, then that'll get saved on your device, and it will sync later when you come online. The next way that we call out here as capturing photos is part of our visit, right? So when we tap on account visit, you'll see that with our new release of GreatVines, you're going to see these camera icons everywhere. We've got cameras, photo icons as part of the account visit. We've got them as part of our individual brand objectives, right? So you see here, maybe I want to capture a photo as part of my Cinco de Mayo training. So again, I can just quickly capture the icon and pull up an image. I don't have a Cinco de Mayo icon photo there, but we'll give you some other examples here. So I'm going to click cancel. So the first thing we may want to do is go up to the top, right? We clicked on the photo image at the top, and maybe we're going to say, you know, while I was there, I happened to do some QA. Maybe we did some sampling, and here's a photo of the product that we're sampling. And again, we have the ability to tie these photos. This is really critical, right? Tying these photos to a brand. So we can say that this is an order, or this is a training photo, or maybe from the meeting. You know, here's a photo from the meeting, and this was at the entrance to the account. So we're just kind of capturing the general feel of the account. We can click save there. Now, even though that's part of the account visit, and you see it turned green to let me know that the photo's been captured, it's still going to go into the gallery in real time, right? The next version of that is to get more specific. Maybe we're going to do a staff training, right? You see all of the different activities that I can attach to my account visit. So we're going to tap on staff training, and we're going to say that here is today, May 2nd, and we're going to say we did a training on our Jones family wine brand, on the Jones Chardonnay. And once again, we see this little icon here for the camera right next to the duplicate. We're going to capture that, and we're going to take a photo. Here we go. A beautiful photo of our wines being poured and paired. Maybe we talked to the chef in advance and had a few food pairings brought out. And so this is going to be a photo of the Jones family wine brand, and this is going to be as part of our training. And where in the location, doesn't really matter, right? In this case, all of these are optional. You can leave them blank, or you can put other. We can say photo of Chef Jim food pairing.
And the more information
Right, so,
you put on these, the easier it is to find it later on. So gone are the days where you're searching through a list of, you know, image 1001 on Dropbox to find, you know,
exactly.
an execution photo. You can just type in, okay, this SKU number, this, you know, type of photo, and, you know, by this sales rep or this day, and be able to see it, which is, it, you know, ultimately time is money, and when you're saving time finding the photos, it's a big deal.
Absolutely. So I'm going to click submit. The account call is going to get sent into the system. The photos are going to get uploaded into GreatVines. Now, of course, there is another way, which a lot of our customers utilize, and that's photos as part of surveys. So, you know, I want to really get you thinking about how these same photo drivers can be part of defining your brand's strategy, but also validating that you have the right account, right? So we have an example here called the Picture of Success. So we're using this survey to simply capture 5 questions. They're simple yes/no questions, but they're going to reinforce whether or not this is the sort of the perfect account, right? How are we versus this Picture of Success? So I can pull up a copy of my most recent survey, go through each of these and validate if everything is still true. And maybe we decide, okay, you know, now with Cinco de Mayo this weekend, maybe we will run an event there. And now our Cloud Rum is on the same price as one of our key competitor brands, right? And so we have the ability with any of these images, with any of these survey questions now to capture a photo. And so right here on the, are we using the right floor rack? Right, we can pull up and pull an image and say, okay, here's an image of the rack that we're running. That's a beautiful photo from Old Smoky. Thank you, Lauren. Of an Old
You're
Smoky
welcome.
display with the barrel.
And the POS
and
items, the tin sign there too, marketing.
That's right. And, you know, we're going to just go with, we'll just go with our Cloud Rum because that one's an easy one. We're going to say that this is a display, right? And we're in the location. This is going to be an end cap. And this is with barrel POS. So, you know, we're entering the required photos. You have the ability in GreatVines to make photos required or optional. In this case, they're optional. And as a little sneak peek with our next release, which is called Cocoon, you'll read about that a little bit in our newsletter later this week, you will be able to define photos as required if you answer yes. So currently, if I say Cloud Rum is not in the store circular, of course we don't want to require a photo because there's no photo that would be relevant. But we have the ability in the next release to say if the answer to the question is yes, then the photo is required. They will not be able to submit this survey without having that photo. So there you go. And I scored a perfect 100 points. The Hideout Lounge is now a perfect account for me, and everyone's happy.
All in a perfect world.
That's right. So now you might be wondering, okay, I've got my team capturing these photos. They can see them when they're out in the market, right? We've got all those beautiful photos now in the gallery, but how do we use them on the back end? How does this drive the business every day? And so let's take a little peek at that. So now here we are in the browser with GreatVines. I'm on the home page. I've just logged in. And you see that we have brought forward the photo browser tab. So for those of you that don't have this in your GreatVines configuration, you can also click on this little plus, it's a little trick, and this is a list of all the tabs that are visible in your system. And you can see here, photo browsers right here. You can always click on that. You can also open up a ticket and ask our team to set this up so that photo browser shows up at the top of your page. And look at that, real time.
And look at that. Yeah, those are the photos we just
Amazing.
uploaded.
There are the photos we uploaded. Now, a little guide. As I'm looking at this gallery, maybe I want to just quickly click on the image details. So we tap on the eye, and I can see, here's my comment about the remodel. I can see when it was captured, the date and time, which account it's pertaining to, or maybe I want to look at the beer photo and say, okay, this is the Venice Beach brand. You do have the ability to go down to the label or even to the SKU level if you want to get that granular. And then I want to be able to do a download as a zip file. So we'll come back to that, but first let's talk about filtering and searching. So as you look down the left of the photo browser, we have the ability to expose a number of different elements about each photo. So some of them are account related and some of them are brand related. So you can see here, I could say, show me all the photos that have been captured by all the accounts in my Western region, or maybe just in California or just in Florida. Show me all of the photos that are captured in one specific segment. So maybe I want to pull up fine dining or casual dining, and I want to bring up my red wines. So you can see here now we're getting into the brand category. So anything that's a brand that's categorized as a red wine, or possibly anything from my tequila portfolio. So all of these filters can be combined together. Now, of course, you need to be careful, because if you get very specific and you say, I want to see tequila event photos on the counter, you're probably going to get no results, right? So be careful about your search criteria. You want to make sure you're not getting too specific, right? So we'll come back here and do this again. Let's just keep it simple. We'll click on casual dining. You can even time filter this. So maybe I just want photos taken in the first quarter. So we'll go January 1st through the end of March.
These are great for putting those business reviews together by quarterly. You know, you can see exactly what was completed during this time frame, and then highlight any promotions that was, that ran. This is a great tool.
Exactly. Yep. So this is very powerful. Also, as a bit of a sneak peek for what we're coming up with down the road, I want to share with you that in one of our future releases later in the year, we will also have a new layout that will look a little bit more like a Flickr gallery. So that's something we're going to be excited to share with you. Something I neglected to mention is, of course, you can always just click on the photo directly if you just want to see it blown up. You can also just save it right here, right? Then you can upload through the browser into Twitter or into Instagram or onto your Facebook wall. Okay. So very easy to do that. You see here that you can create a zip file out of all of your photos. You can download them at any time. You can look through different pages of images, right? So very powerful and flexible tool. Feel free to reach out to our team if you want to learn more about this and you want to learn how to customize the photo gallery experience. Any other thoughts, Lauren?
Jim, let's talk about storage. I mean, photos take up a lot of space, and if you're already using a tool kind of like Dropbox or Google Drive to manage it, you know that you're going to run out of space quickly. And with GreatVines being an offline solution first, talk to us about, what are the limitations on storage?
Well, it's a great question. So within the mobile application, we actually have the storage is not limited by our application. It's really going to be the amount of storage you have on your device, right? So we certainly encourage our customers when they're purchasing tablets, whether they're Windows or iPad, to try and, if you know that photos are going to be part of your strategy, think about, not having the minimum, the 16 gigabytes of storage, but maybe look at 64 gigabytes of storage. So that way on the device itself, you can capture really higher quality photos. But in order to make sure we don't swamp the storage on the device, we do automatically purge out beyond the most recent 6 or 12 photos, and that's a configuration option that you have. However, it is worth pointing out that back in the cloud, right, within GreatVines, the photo storage is different than the data storage. So this is not tied to the amount of retail sales or depletions or accounts or activities that you have. They are really two different metrics. And you get significantly higher storage right off the bat. So if that's an area of concern, definitely reach out to our team and we can talk you through what your options are. You can compress the photos down if you're willing to put up with slightly lower quality, or you can increase the photos if you truly do intend on using them for things like print ads. Then you have the ability to go even higher resolution.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So another thing to kind of touch on, at Old Smoky, we often used photos to kind of track what our competitors are doing too. How can GreatVines help track that, and the tools within GreatVines to track, using photos to track kind of what your competitors are doing maybe in the survey application?
Absolutely. No, that's a great question. So going back to the iPad, as part of the survey tools, you can always define competitive products. And so, something that we do here on our everyday on-premise survey, for example, is that we have competitors listed in red. And so one of the options you have in defining the survey is to say whether or not an image is required. So for example, when we go into one of these sections, we have served by the glass, you get a photo that captures the listing on the menu of the competitive products. So you have the ability to just check a box and there will now be a photo icon to allow your users to capture that. And so that is something that we can pull up as part of the reporting. We have the ability in your survey analysis reports to bring photos in and show them directly alongside all of your sales activities and your volume.
Great. So I just want to remind everyone that's listening, you can definitely type in questions in the GoToMeeting chat panel at any time, and we're here to answer them. So this is your time. If you have any questions or want to see anything in more detail, feel free to type a question in the chat box.
Absolutely. So what else you got for me, Lauren?
Well, we could talk about what's next on the horizon. I know you mentioned changes with the Flickr kind of layout, but is there any other advancements on the roadmap to get excited about?
Yeah, I think that that's certainly a big one, is the changing up the gallery so that way you can share this with your partners more easily. Right now we're downloading photos individually and maybe stitching them together in slides, putting them into PDF. I think that one of our goals is to be able to publish a gallery of photos with a secure URL that you can share. This is something that has been on our roadmap for a little while that we've talked a bit about. But also, I personally would like to see us be able to push these directly to some of our social media channels. So once you're authenticated, for example, into Instagram, having a button right here. So you can have your brand managers and your digital marketing managers come in and have access to the gallery, and they can look through it once a week and say, okay, I love this photo. Let me just tap on it and post it directly.
And that's so great, especially if you're working with a third-party agency too, who is reliant on you sending them all the information. They can come in through here, take a look,
right,
and help manage your social presence on the different channels.
Absolutely. Yeah, so those are two big changes that I think you'll see coming down on the roadmap either by the end of the year or early in 2018. So very excited to work with the product team on that.
And what about Chatter? How does Chatter kind of integrate with the photo with sharing photos internally with your team? Kind of like if you want to institute kind of a sense of competition among your reps,
sure,
and getting people excited about a display incentive that's running for a quarter or whatnot.
Certainly. Yeah, we think Chatter is a critical component of a broad Salesforce strategy and GreatVines sales strategy, I mean. And the best practice that we recommend is to do all the steps we've just talked about, but then from the photo gallery, actually post these images, download the images and post them into Chatter. That is another feature on the roadmap on the wish list, which is taking it directly from the device when you're posting these images and posting it into the Chatter feed, right? Being able to do it right from here. And that's something that we've talked about for a long time. We'd love to hear from our customers to see what additional features they're looking for around photos. But in terms of best practices with Chatter, we think that posting wins, posting really successful activations and displays can be great because you can get discussion, right? We can have people that are going to like your photos and you can type in comments in the feed, and that can be, you know, driven in the form of alerts directly to a user's phone, right? So here's
Love
another
that.
great old Smoky display. How about that?
I may or may not have something to do with that.
Exactly.
Oh,
There you go.
awesome.
Yeah, we think that that's critical. And one of the other things worth pointing out, since you mentioned it, is everything in this gallery, which is collectively referred to as files, can actually be pushed into your content, right? So if it's a photo of a bottle presentation or a photo of a display, you can actually have that end up in your content. So you see down here in the mobile app, right, we've got content. So it's a great way to take pieces of content that were from the chatter feed, right, and bring it directly into the content library. So it's another way to sort of have that closed loop, right? It can be a document, it can be an image. Here's an image of a beer display. And so we can bring that full circle from sales execution through the gallery, then back into the library for presenting your content.
Right, giving those reps the tools to be able to sell that display in more effectively and quickly within an account by showing, you know, past execution photos or whatnot.
Well, I hope this was helpful.
Yes, and I hope you all learned something today. And we thank you for taking time out of your busy workday to chat with us. We did record this presentation, and we'll post it on our website, and we can send you a link in a follow-up email. And as you can see on the slide, here's our contact information. We always love hearing feedback, or if you have any follow-up questions afterwards that you'd like answered, follow up with us directly, and we look forward to hearing from you.